Morning, cuz.
Oh,
Buenos
man.
dias. ¿Cómo está, amigo?
This is the best.
Nobody's better than you, brother.
I'll say
better.
this.
Man.
This hammock right here is where I slept last night.
Oh, my
that
God.
Man. He's
Yeah.
got the life.
Look at that view. Look at that water in the background. Where are
That's-
you? Hako Beach?
No. Hako's like that's where tourists go. Like you gotta work to get to this place. We're someplace on the peninsula here, the Nicoya Peninsula. So it's a big surf spot right here. You can hear the surf all day long. So yeah, I just had I was running hard. It was Philly and Nashville and Mobile, and so I figured I'd jump out for a couple days. Get into the ocean here, get some body surfing in, get some good coffee, and then get ready for a week from Sunday.
Look at you. Look great, man. You look
Does
fantastic,
look
brother. God bless you. That is awesome. When will you head to New Orleans?
I'm going in next Wednesday. Be there for a couple days, and I got to go to Los Angeles. I'm going to do our NFL Network pregame show that Sunday, so I'll be out there on Sunday.
Oh, that's fantastic. Have you, in the midst of the sun and the coffee and some of the tequila that I'm sure you'll drink later on, have you thought about this matchup? Like, have you thought further? Knowing you and processing this stuff, you do it with your mind before you do it with your eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any great visions of Super Bowl Sunday in New Orleans, but I just felt like, honestly, Saquon's been the MVP of this league all year. Like, why wouldn't he be the MVP of this game? I mean, we saw Buffalo run it down their throat when they decided to run it, and why can't Philadelphia do the same thing? And we all have as much respect for Spags as anybody in this industry. So I know, I'm sure he's going to have his three linebackers, Tranquil and Chenal and Bolton, all up there trying to just plug the line of scrimmage, and that can be good and that can be bad. Because if Saquon breaks through that line, I mean, he might go a long, long ways. And so I feel like, you'll get Juergens back at center, you'll get Dickerson back at left guard, you'll get back to your five. I feel like that group is as good as anything we've seen in our lifetime. It's as good. Emmitt Smith and his group, it's as good as anything we've seen in our lifetime. From just a front wall of battering rams to the running back. I feel like that's been the difference all year. I feel like that's going to be the difference.
Yeah, Baldy, it was funny. We were talking to Zach Berman, and Zach said, he brought up Jalen. Said, well, Jalen's got to play the game of his life. And I'm like, no, I think he needs to play exactly how he's been playing. I think the formula is what it is. And I don't see it changing because, like you said, they're unstoppable force. There's no way that Barkley doesn't get over 100 yards. I'm sorry, I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you'll have over 100. I mean, you can never really factor those things in this far in advance. But Jalen knows he's smart enough to know. Don't put the ball in harm's way. I can watch Mahomes make these throws, and you're like, man, and I say it about Patrick Mahomes, and we all look, we love quarterbacks, we love Mahomes, but he plays the game with no fear. And the fear is he's going to put the ball in harm's way. He's going to make those throws. Now, maybe you have to make those throws to win this game. But at the same time, that, nobody's taking the ball away like this defense right now. And so, they all studied Peanut Tillman's, videos of how to punch the ball out. They watch those videos, and they're doing it. And everybody's capable of doing it. I don't know why every team doesn't do it, but they've punched it out a bunch. And I don't know if Pacheco is going to be ready for that if it happens, or Mahomes or whoever. But I feel like they understand what the formula is, and they're smart enough to not get too far away from it.
Yeah, again, the last thing you want, we were talking about it. I go, to me, the last thing you want is Jalen throwing 30-some times, because that will mean that they're in 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, and that's not how they live. They live because they win first down. They live, and that's their formula, right? Don't change the recipe now.
No, Man, you got to count. A big part is obviously accounting for Jalen in the run game too.
Right.
He's an excellent runner, always has been. And so, I thought last week, to see him kind of open it up a little bit with the RPO game, off the run, off the play action fake, like to incorporate some of those things, to take their shot when they got their shot to AJ against a particular look, and just counting on AJ to beat Lattimore like he did. It was a big, big, huge play. Look, I mean, that was a close game. A lot of these games have been close. It was a 14-12 game, and then it just right there at the end of the second quarter, it all got blown open. But we've seen that time and time again, how they can do that. And so, largely outside of, a big part of this game are two teams that played against each other 2 years ago. Like, there's a great deal of familiarity with a lot of the players in this game. But it doesn't mean anything, honestly. Like, Andy's going to have his formations, his plays he hasn't shown that he did, against Buffalo. He's going to have his plays. And I just feel like no matter what you throw at this Eagles, whether it's the quick game, whether it's their shot plays, like, they're in position to honestly not be out of position. Like, that's why they're such a good defense. They're not out of position. And they do communicate at a very high level. And those things eliminate a lot of the trick plays, a lot of the gimmicks that Andy has up his sleeve on any given game.
What is it about Fangio? I was talking about this. The one concern I would have, at least early, is Andy's so good with his script. They always start off. They started off last week with a scoring drive. And it usually takes Fangio one or two drives to kind of get a feel for. We saw the Rams do it. We've seen teams drive down there. They held Washington, they had an 18-play drive early. What is it about that Fangio that kind of has to see it first before he kind of knows what to do?
Well, I think every game has a flow. Every game is a little bit different. Every game sort of flows. And so once you get an idea by formations, motions, like once you start getting a feel for it, it's something that you've already incorporated, then you can start, okay, this is our check. This is our answer to this. This is if they go to a 4-by-1 set and there's, Nuke out there as a lone receiver, or if they get their 3 tight end packages, like I think you start to get a feel for what they're doing, and then you have the answers to the test. And then all defenses, you've got to, good defenses, you just refuse to stay blocked. And so at some point, it's up to your techniques and your fundamentals to get off blocks and defeat those blocks. Whether it's, they like to run power with Trey Smith to the left. All right, it's coming. All right, now are they running it now that they're going to throw you a lot of different formations to run out of? All right, you strip everything away and you're like, it's still power. It's still power. They might run, trail with the tight end. They might trail with the tackle, but it's still power. This is what they're doing. This is how you defeat that play. So you have to defeat it at the point, and then you decide if you're going to spill it outside or if you're going to turn it inside to your help. Like all those things, they have walked through those things. Every great defensive player, from Von Miller to Khalil Mack to Justin Smith, that I know that have played, for Vic, they'll tell you that there's a lot there. There's a lot of adjustments. There's a lot in the playbook. But once you get it, and that's why it took 5 weeks to figure this stuff out. Once you get it, it allows you to play fast. You really stop your thinking. And I think that's what we've seen. We've seen a defense that plays very, very fast and isn't flat-footed and frozen. But there is a lot, and that's the problem they had in Miami last year. There's too many checks. There's too many of this. And they started whining. They had like they had like this mutiny in Miami last year. All right. Well, I know a lot of players that have played in this scheme for a long time, whether it's Denver, Chicago, San Francisco, New Orleans, and they love it because it allows them to make plays. Zach, what Zach has done this year, I don't know how many other guys could have done what he did. To play that fast, and that's a prime example of a guy, to play that fast, make that many plays, and not be thinking.
It's so interesting, too, because it seems like they're impervious to what Andy's going to show a bunch of stuff that He's going to do a bunch of things that he hasn't shown on film. Like he's going to have a lot of new wrinkles, but it feels like that this defense is somewhat impervious to that.
Well, I mean, first of all, since the Tampa loss in the bye week, even in games that were close where they didn't play great offensively, whether it was Jacksonville or Cleveland, some games where people were like, what the hell is going on? Defensively, they kept him in all these games. And so what Andy did the last time they played him, they went back to the Jacksonville game and they saw that motion where they come, from the wide out, like they're coming in the backfield, then they go back out. And they scored 2 touchdowns off that motion. And the Eagles got caught both times. And they got 2 pretty easy touchdowns.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Andy's going back and seeing they had a lot of problems against Tampa week 4. There was this honesty. Now they haven't played like that since then, but they constantly got.
And Cooper wasn't on the field.
Coverage. They had man beaters up all day. They destroyed him. Now they haven't had that issue since, but Andy's going to find something that has been good against them. That's what he does. He tinkers. He goes back and he might go back to when Vic was in Denver and something that gave him problems. Like people want to put up this stat right now. It's kind of popular that Mahomes is 6-0, 8-0 against Vic Fangio, right? Well, all right. Vic was in Denver. Mahomes never lost to Denver until last year. He literally beat him twice a year, every year, including his first start in this league, 15 or 16 straight times. So, okay, well, that was Mahomes. No, they weren't beating. They weren't losing in Denver for a long time. And Vic wasn't there when they beat him. But, I think that Andy will have certain things, and we'll see how they react to it. He'll always have his plays, his formations, and then once he sees how they react, then he'll have the counter to it. So it is a counterpoint thing, which is a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm fascinated. Baldy, what happened on the McLaurin touchdown?
Well, that was a crossing route. And so, it's a classic 3-receiver route where he's running a flat in cut right there. And the 2 inside guys from the slot are going vertical. So there's a lot of traffic there. And then look, 2 guys missed, including Zach Bond. Zach Bond had him by the leg and he missed that tackle. And McLaurin, look, it's a classic case of going across the grain and you're not in great angles and you've got tremendous speed coming at you. They had 2 guys that missed tackles on that play with a guy that has top flight speed.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see, again, with the Chiefs. Now, you've broken the Chiefs down every which way from Sunday. Obviously, Worthy is their big playmaker, and he's Andy's toy. But, Hopkins has been kind of devalued there. He hasn't been, and it's weird because, he dusted off Smith-Schuster last week, right? It's odd how he handled it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I'm just look, Juju had 2 30-plus yard plays, catch and run. He's been invisible for the most part. But, you can never count on a guy like Justin Watson, a guy like Noah Gray. Everybody knows Travis Kelce. We know what he has done. And I'm not saying he can't do that. I'm sure he's going to be highly, highly motivated to get another Super Bowl. He's got a lot riding on it. And Mahomes obviously trusts him. But there's so many different guys. You watched last week, they get a big play with Samaje Perine against man coverage. And they run all this interference, and they run him through the backfield across all this interference, and they get him, out the backside to finish, basically finish the game. Now he's always been a good receiver, whether it's in a screen game. So he's got a lot at his disposal. It'll be interesting to see who's active. That's the first thing, 90 minutes before kick, I want to take a look at who's active for Kansas City.
Yeah.
Because he might have 3 tight ends active. He might have 6 receivers. He might have 3 running backs. But he can't have all of them. So sometimes just who's available, who's up, why are they up? Is it special teams? Is it a certain trick play? Is it a reverse pass that somebody you just don't really know? And then the other thing that Andy's the best in this league at is anytime you get to the 5-yard line, because they scored 2 against the Eagles in the last Super Bowl. Anytime you get to the 5, or say in the low red zone, inside the 10, the number of plays, whether it's shovel passes, formations, motions, the ring around the road, you don't know what's coming at you. So your eyes have to be right. Your eyes have to, if your eyes aren't right, you're going to get fooled. you're going to get those cheese routes are going to get you.
And I do think he's going to lean into the run game. Because if you look at the Eagles, without Dean, now Burks has played well, but I could see him leaning into it. He leaned in a little bit more than I expected last week. And I could see him try to lean into the run game a little bit.
Well,
Washington didn't have it. I think he's got a better chance at it.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I've always said, especially with the evolution of Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey, inside, that they could be a good power running team. Jawan Taylor's a better run blocker than he is a pass blocker. But like when I look at the Eagles and I look at the roster, I go, to me, they're just a better roster. Like, I don't think Jawan Taylor's a great player.
Right.
I think when you look at, the left guard playing left tackle, I think Caliendo's a weakness in there at left guard. Tooney has played very well, but he's given up sacks against Houston. Like, they're not elite up front. Now, I do think there's a stat up there in these 3 Super Bowl wins that the Chiefs have not been called for a single holding penalty. And there's a lot of the conspiracy theorists out there about whatever. I mean, it's
VG.
out there. And, it bubbles in some level of life. But, I think the Eagles are better on the defense line than the Chiefs are at protecting Mahomes. Now, Mahomes has a GPS system in his helmet that nobody else has to get out of harm's way. But, I think they're still better up front, and they can make more big plays.
Would you move Carter and match him up against Caliendo?
Yeah. Yeah, but like what we saw last week was, I mean, they literally doubled Jalen. Washington did just about every single play, and that's why Milton Williams had a bunch of good plays. You saw Jordan Davis get a sack. He only played 13 plays. Jordan did, but he had a sack in those 13 plays. He batted the ball down. He made a tackle early on. He made 3 good plays in 13 plays. But, you might feel comfortable putting, a Jomo or Jordan Davis over him too and just leaving Jalen in his spot. He's very comfortable in that spot. Personally, I love that matchup of Trey Smith and Jalen Carter. It's, Trey Smith's going to be the highest paid guard in this league when he hits free agency this year. There's no question in my mind about it. So, but that's a good matchup.
Go ahead.
Oh, hey, unrelated to this.
I thought you were going to give him the conspiracy theory.
Oh, well, I mean, the conspiracy theory is that in the playoffs, there's been 33 penalties called against the Chiefs and 66 against other teams. It's a difference of like 33 penalties and over 200 plus yards. It's a weird coincidence, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, but at the same time, maybe they're just better coached. Maybe, the reason why you commit penalties is because you're out of position. Maybe there's a reason why they're the champion is because they don't commit a lot of penalties in big games. And they play error-free like that. Now, that's an absurd difference. An absurd difference because they played against good teams in playoff games, and that is a wide disparity. And so, but I also know that they call a lot fewer penalties in the postseason. The NFL doesn't like to admit that, but they call a lot fewer penalties, especially in the Super Bowl. They call a lot fewer penalties. So they kind of swallow the whistle a bunch. And so we'll have to see, how that goes. But that is a wide disparity and one that doesn't sit well with a lot of people. Doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah. See? There's something to it. There's something to it. It's a little weird.
All right. Now I need you to give people the tip for body surfing. Now, listen, you are a vet. This is your domain where you're at right now. All right. For those people that go, I need to go for my mental space and go where you are and follow Baldy. All right. Like at some point, I want to follow you. Lead us.
Well, I mean, I was in Playa Pilata this morning, right? So the first thing you do is you check out, is it rocky or is it sandy? All right. Like you just don't want to be like crashing into like rocks. But, the water is crystal clear, so you can see. I was on a really sandy bay this morning. But so that's the first thing. And then, you got to read the waves. Are they breaking left? Are they breaking right? And where are they breaking? So where's the spot where they're breaking? Because honestly, to be a good body surfer, it should take as little work as possible. The wave should be lifting you up, all right, and carrying you. So now where's the break? And what's causing that break? And so those are some of the things that it's like, it's like a pre-snap read, cuz.
Right.
Like you got to get, are we showing blitz here? Are we showing zone coverage? What's our motion dictating right here? Those are some of the things that you're trying to get, before you actually play the play.
Do you boogie board?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a board with me, but I might rent one if the waves are right. Right now, body surfing is perfect. But if they're breaking further out this afternoon, like I think they will at Playa Guiones, like I think out there, I think a boogie board probably be a lot more fun. Like you're going to get big rides. You're going to get 100-yard, 200-yard rides, if they're breaking pretty far out.
Do you imbibe in any of the what I hear is the burning water down there? The guaro?
The burning water.
The guaro?
The what?
Guaro, the liquor of that area?
I just like tequila's just fine. You can't have
He's such a simple man with
tequila
this.
and
You're
lime.
talking about the fire water.
Yeah.
That's more Brazilian fire water.
I mean, I think I know where he's at.
Yeah.
I think it's the national liqueur of that location.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you, what the coffee?
I'm staying away from somebody was telling me this morning about, this ayahuasca, this thing that Aaron Rodgers did.
Yeah.
Like they've got, that's right. It's right where I'm at is where they did that, filmed that whole thing. So that's not my thing though. Like I'm not interested. I feel like the portals in my brain. I feel like altered state is altered state. There's probably some benefit to it.
Yeah.
I feel like the portals in my brain are already opened.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like I need any more openings. I think they're already there.
Did you have a nice cup of coffee this morning? Because the
Yes, I
coffee
did.
there
Unbelievable.
is the
It
greatest.
was I smelled the beans first, cuz I had to smell the beans. There's absolutely nothing like it. There's nothing. Freshness isn't really the description that you want, although you get that. It's just this everything from the aroma to the way it goes down to the way it kicks in.
Yeah.
It's just the perfect bean.
Yeah. It's taste. I mean, it explodes, but you're right too. It hits you. Even the caffeine.
I would never put anything in my coffee. Here,
No.
it's just black coffee.
I do the
There's
same
no
thing.
need for sugar or milk or cream or nothing.
No.
You just want to enjoy the flavor.
Yep. I do the same thing. Now, what's for dinner tonight?
I probably should check, the catch of the day, probably, whatever that is, whatever was swimming this afternoon, it's probably, they'll have that on display. It could be the lobster, it could be, fresh shrimp. I might go out there and get a dive in today, just see what's swimming around out there. Got some rainbow fish, some hogfish, it could be whatever the local catch is today.
What is it, about 85? What is it, 80?
It's going to be, it never changes. It's going to be between 85 and 90, all day. So it burns a lot of people out on the beach in the daytime, but that's great. You got the water to yourself when it's like that.
I'm looking at you, right? And I'm just imagining the sun, because I have a son. I love the sun. And I'm just imagining the sun right now, man. Nobody does it like you, brother.
Nobody.
Yeah. You are the greatest. God bless you a million times. All right? Never change.
I just get myself charged for the Super Bowl week. You know how crazy it gets. So you got to get off, the path.
Yeah.
Get off the path, get off the treadmill, recharge, and then just get ready to, run through that finish line.
Yeah, you are. You're the best. God love you,
All right,
brother.
buddy.
Listen,
Thanks, man.
Be safe, man. All right?
Appreciate it, guys.
Send me some
When are you
pictures.
getting down, by the way? Are you going?
I don't know, dude. I'll text you.
Okay, you let me know.
Yeah.
All right, buddy.
Hey, send me pictures too, by the way. All right.
I'll bring you back some cigars, cuz.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Please.
All right.
Thanks, brother.
We all silly like the mayor.